Hey everyone, I'm Breanna from Boom, and welcome to Boom Chat. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Sarah Gailey, the award-winning author who's bringing you Eat the Rich. Welcome to Crestfall Bluffs. With law school and her whole life ahead of her, Joey plans to spend the summer with her boyfriend Astor in his seemingly perfect hometown. It's a chance to finally meet his family and childhood friends, all while enjoying a vacation where every need is attended to. But beneath the affluent perfection lies a dark, deadly rot. Will Joey discover the truth before it's too late? And even if she does, can she survive to tell the tale? Okay, Sarah, oh my goodness. All right, I have so many questions. Does everyone know, including the staff, what is Astor's deal? Why did he bring her here? Did she really not notice what the baby had in his mouth? Also, oh my, the ending. Okay, you don't have to answer any of those. We don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't read it yet, but seriously, that first issue was amazing. It's intriguing, it's terrifying. It can be like incredibly difficult to portray suspense in comics because you can literally see what's happening on the next panel or on the next page. But this first issue was so suspenseful. I was on the edge of my seat. I was so uncomfortable because you can just feel that something is just not right. So I want to know, how did you craft this script in such a way that just creates and keeps this level of tension?
Oh my gosh. I mean, first of all, thank you so much for saying so many nice things about this comic.
You did the
I
work. It's all you.
somehow, I don't know. I just went into a fugue state and then there was a script in front of me. No, this was my first original series that I've ever written. So I went in and I did what I always do with anything longer than a short story that I write, which is I outline very, very heavily. And I wrote up my beat sheet, which basically breaks down all of the major plot points of the comic and how I want them to unfold over like the portions of the comic. I kind of think of it like I'm cutting up like a loaf of bread, and I'm like, okay, each slice needs to be a certain plot beat. I'm very heavily influenced by television, like every adult was afraid my generation would be when we were kids. And so I try to build narrative suspense the same way that I would plan for commercial breaks in a TV show. What's going to make someone stay glued to the couch or come racing back from the bathroom when they hear the little musical stinger that says that we've returned to the show. And of course, Eat the Rich is heavily, heavily influenced by my beloved soapy primetime dramas. I originally pitched it as the CW's Revenge meets Riverdale, but with people who eat people. And so I'm really trying to bring that soapy style to the beats of the narrative to say, okay, you want to stay tuned. You don't want to miss what's next when we reveal, who's secretly a twin or who's pregnant with the devil's baby or whatever.
I love that. Like, I was obsessed with like passions when I was a kid, and it was
Oh
just like
yeah.
the wildest stuff would just happen. And that's what I feel like is going to happen in this comic. I'm just like, what is going on? I'm so excited for everyone to pick this up and read it because like it's just so creepy and wonderful. Like it just all right. So I've honestly like really been looking forward to reading this specific title, like because of the title. It's Eat the Rich. Like I just keep thinking about that Rousseau quote where it's like, when the people have nothing more to eat, they will eat the rich. So this tells me that like this isn't just a horror story. I feel like we're gonna get some serious socioeconomic commentary. Without giving anything away, can you please expand on that theme for us?
Absolutely. I mean, I've spent a lot of time working for very wealthy people. I was an office administrator in the tech industry for a while. I spent a lot of time doing, kind of professional services tasks for very wealthy people on a freelance basis, basically being the person who comes in and organizes your life. And so much of Eat the Rich is just pulled directly from my experiences. This isn't giving anything big away, but there's one scene where Joey, the protagonist of Eat the Rich, is taking a tour of a very wealthy person's house, and she sees that they have a room that's just for gifts. And I have cleaned and organized a room that's just for gifts in someone's house. So when I think about that quote about people eating the rich, I think about all of the lives that I got to step into for a brief period, all of the offices that I had to clean that belonged to people who were spending $500 on jeans. The woman whose house I cleaned who asked me if she could hire me for several $1,000s to just help her figure out how to buy enough furniture to fill the living room. I think about
What?
that, and that makes me, can I swear on this interview?
Yeah, sure. We'll tell him to bleep it out.
It makes me fucking hungry.
Yeah.
And I'm very passionate about class inequality and income inequality. I have lived in so many cities with massive houseless populations. And I've had so many friends who have gone in and out of situations where they don't have enough money to have a roof over their head or to eat. And I look at those two things side by side and I'm like, well, of course, violence is never the answer, but what if it was?
I feel you on that. Like it's just the wage gap and like the disparity of like the 1% between the rest of the 99% is just absolutely bonkers to me. Like, ah, yeah. So I'm really excited to see where this story goes, and maybe like through reading it, we can all get some catharsis in being the 99%.
I also really in this series wanted to dive into some of the temptation of wealth because, when I ended up getting my first job in the tech industry, I was thrilled. There was no part of me that was like, oh, my surroundings are wrong. When I first got that job, I walked into the office and they said, you're going to need to clean this kitchen every day, even though that's not part of your job description, but also it's full of free snacks that you can have. And I went, free snacks. And I wanted in this series to spend a little bit of time in that because that's the way that our system is built. The small luxuries make us feel comforted. And so we look away from the big looming problems that are surrounding us so often. Because as I say more and more often these days, we're monkeys, we want a little piece of fruit. And if someone hands me a little piece of fruit, I'm inclined to forget that they are paying me 1/5 the salary of the next person above me. So Eat the Rich is also very much about that. Joey does get very much drawn in to this culture of wealth and luxury and comfort and sees it as aspirational the way so many of us do, which kind of can't be helped.
I mean, it's so tempting. Who wouldn't want to just marry a rich man or woman and be swept away and just be like, I don't have to worry about anything anymore? But then also, like, at what cost?
Exactly. And I think that sense of I don't have to worry about anything anymore is something we all chase. We all desperately want to live a life without worry. And I wanted to also make that kind of impossible for Joey.
I can't wait to see the confliction that she has to deal with. I'm very excited. Okay. So it's not just about the story. Comics have beautiful art in them, and this one is no exception. I would like to know, what was it like for you to see your characters brought to life on the page through Pius Bach's art for the first time?
Completely staggering. Pius is an unbelievable artist. We also got to work with an incredible colorist and incredible letterer who I'd love to talk about more after I finish yelling about Pius. I handed over these lengthy character descriptions that were in some places very specific and in other places very vague. I think that there were a couple of times where I was just like, here's a vibe. I don't know, because I'm not a brilliant visual artist. My medium is prose. And so I was doing my best to translate like this picture that I had inside my brain to someone who knows what to do with that information. And when I got back the character designs, I was totally staggered. I was blown away. Pius really did a brilliant job not only capturing the kind of visual impact that I wanted these characters to have, but also their energy, their movement, which is wild since comics are a static form. Their presence is so felt on the page. Pius also did a perfect job of capturing the entire vibe of Crestfall Bluffs. It's a beach town, right? It's like I always call it the Slamptons when I'm trying to describe it to people. It's a wealthy people's summer vacation spot. So it has this combination of luxury and kind of faux rusticity that I have no idea how to describe, how to say, like, here's what I want. And Pius's brain, I think, just opened up and all these shooting stars came out of it and ended up on the page. I'm so grateful to have gotten to work with them.
I'm so excited. It all just works so well, and I love it when like all of these teams come together to really just like knock it out of the park. And that's the great thing about comics is it is not just one person, it is entirely a collaborative effort. So like snaps all around to everyone who has worked on the project. So yay. I want to know, what are some of your favorite scenes actually that are in the comic book without giving anything away? Like, what was your favorite like visual that you saw?
I love a splash page. I was very informed by the Blade of the Immortal comics, like, which I started reading at a very probably too young age and just have kept rereading since. And they have these big, beautiful, like 2-page splash scenes of murders. And so that's some of my favorite parts of Eat the Rich, is these big splash pages that I got to write in to say, here, I just want this to smack the reader in the face. And I've got a couple of those in each issue. I think the thing that gives the least away, that is one of my favorite visuals, is there's a baby in the book, baby Cartwright, who is Joey's boyfriend's stepmom's child. And I love getting to write a baby because babies are so unpredictable and weird and gross and funny. I find them really to be little aliens. And so I got to put this baby on the page doing the things that babies do, which includes putting everything that they can fit into their mouth. And there's a scene on a beach where Joey is meeting the incredibly beautiful and alluring nanny who cares for baby Cartwright. And they get a little distracted for a minute, and Cartwright finds something in the sand to put in his mouth. I'm not going to give away what it is, but I will tell you that it's a clue for the reader about how things are going to be going over the course of the summer.
It's a big clue. Okay, so all right, you have also written some very wonderful and award-winning novels in the past. I would like to know what inspired you to write this story as a comic versus a novel, and how has that writing process been different for you with the added element of visuals and panels?
Oh, it's been so completely different. I wanted to write this one as a comic because it felt so visual to me. It's a concept that I really would not enjoy putting in prose, I don't think, because I wanted to have so much visual humor and visual communication. And there comes a point in prose where you have to stop telling people what you wish they would see. And so being able to show them through Pius's art is so important to me in the execution of Eat the Rich. And it couldn't be more different. It couldn't possibly be more different as a form. When I started writing comics for the Steven Universe property, I got to learn how to write a comic script. And it's a different process and it comes onto the page differently. I try to keep my visual descriptions kind of lean because I want to trust the artist, and also because I don't want to be micromanaging their process. I really went into this saying, okay, I trust Pius to know better than I do what's going to work visually. So a lot of parts of my script are like, here are some options, whichever thing Pius thinks is best, we should go with. But I find it so different because I'm not describing everything. I'm saying, here's sort of what I want the scene to look like, but I don't have to find ways to like break up dialogue with prose that keeps the reader anchored in what they're reading, because they'll already be anchored by what Pius draws. So I get to actually lean some weight on my fellow creator, which is extremely fun for me. Also, because this is the one situation where I don't have an agent and an editor saying, please, for the love of God, can you describe things on the page?
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad that that worked out so well. Okay, so but speaking of your words that are in this book, there's a lot of foreshadowing in this story with like some really clever word choices that like lead to the reveal at the end. And I think we know where it's going, but without giving too much away, can you just give us a little insight on what Joey might be up against now that she knows the truth?
Ooh, how do I do this without giving too much away? I think that Joey is going to be up against a big ethical dilemma. She is trying really hard, not only to take good care of her relationship with her boyfriend, but to leverage it into a law career. She's spent her whole life fighting for everything she has. She's really, worked hard to get herself where she is. And she doesn't want to lose the potential fruits of that effort. What she's up against is she has to figure out what she's willing to swallow to get the things she wants. She has to chew on some really tough choices. And I think it's just going to be a lot to digest for her.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you. That was well done. Thank you. Oh my gosh, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. This was such a delight. It's been so great chatting with you. And for those of you watching at home, be sure to pick up Eat the Rich #1 in stores now. And also, if you want to stay up to date on all of our amazing content, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click that notification button.